Welcome back. I'm Lynda Kinkade. I want to return to our breaking news story coming into us here at CNN. Rupert Murdoch has announced he's stepping down as chairman of News Corp and Fox News. In a statement, he said the time is right for him to take on different roles. His eldest son, Lachlan, will become the sole chairman of both companies. Our Anna Stewart has jumped on this story a short time ago and is joining us now live from London. We do know that Rupert Murdoch has put out a statement on this at the age of 92, finally stepping away from these roles. What is he saying?
92 years old, a decent age, I would say, for anyone to retire, and yet it's still taken us slightly by surprise. It's hard to imagine this media empire without the tycoon that is Rupert Murdoch at the head of it. He first dipped his toes into the newspaper business in the 1950s and has obviously bought up a load of companies and become such a big voice in the media, news and entertainment business. In the statement that we have from Rupert Murdoch, he says he's just decided to transition to the role of Chairman Emeritus at Fox and News. As you said, his son Lachlan will also now be taking the role in his place, which wasn't always clear. I mean, the succession story of Rupert Murdoch is clearly one so interesting. It spawned a certain idea for a rather good TV series about it. And this is a very interesting move. Lachlan Murdoch was always really perhaps considered to be the golden child, the most likely heir apparent. But there were some sort of rocky phases during that. I remember him quitting a job at News Corp in 2005, and people questioned whether that was it. Now, I'm going to take you through some of the statement that we've got here. Rupert Murdoch says, our companies are in robust health, as am I. Our opportunities far exceed our commercial challenges. We have every reason to be optimistic about the coming years. I certainly am, and plan to be here to participate in them. I have a big question about what this will mean for votes on the board, and how much will this man step back? Rupert Murdoch, it's hard not to envisage him looking over the shoulder of his son. Lynda?
Yeah, that is my question, because he didn't say he's going to retire, just step back and take on some different roles. So we'll see what comes of that. Anna Stewart for us in London, thank you. And maybe Richard Quest might be able to shed some more light on that. Richard is joining us on the phone. So Richard, we know Rupert Murdoch has been in the business for over 70 years. He's not retiring, but he is stepping down from his role as chairman with both News Corp and Fox Corp. What do you make of this move?
I think it's very, very clever. It's exactly in line with the sort of strategy that Rupert Murdoch has exhibited over all those decades. The reality is, Lynda, I mean, look, you're an Australian. You've had Murdoch around in your life all your life. My entire professional life of some 40-odd years, Rupert Murdoch has been a presence. Right the way back to when I was a trainee in the mid-1980s, when he closed he closed Fleet Street and opened Wapping to print his London newspapers. And then you push forward through to the phone hacking scandal, where he overnight closed one of his most profitable titles, the News of the World. And then he gives evidence, he gets a pie in the face. He was ahead of the game, Lynda, when he decided to merge companies and then split them again. He was constantly looking, between the higher profile, higher performing companies like Fox and the movies, but his heart was always in News Corp, the print, the touch of the paper. And so to say that he's stepping down is, I think, a misnomer. To say he's stepping away, I think, is an error. I think what he's doing is going to let Lachlan run the company, as he probably has been on a de facto basis, and Rupert's going to watch.
And I wonder what this means, Richard, in light of this upcoming US election in 2024, because we know that Rupert Murdoch obviously has always had his take on where things stand in elections. And we know that there was a new book out recently which explained, or at least gave some insight as to his perspective on Donald Trump running again as the next Republican presidential candidate. The book, The Fall, The End of Fox News and the Murdoch Dynasty by Michael Wolff wrote that Rupert Murdoch has been frothing at the mouth over Donald Trump in the lead up to this next election. Right. What sort of take do you think we'll see going forward? Will it be much the same in terms of his presence and his voice coming through?
Oh, absolutely. But it will be channeled via Lachlan, who won't be a puppet. Lachlan believes the same. So I would say if you want to see where Fox News is going with regards vis-a-vis Donald Trump, look at what we learned in the voter machine case, where we saw the emails and the messages from Lachlan about Trump, where we saw how Lachlan was maneuvering things towards Trump. That's going to be the way forward. To the core question of whether there is daylight between Lachlan and Rupert Murdoch, the answer is probably not much, because otherwise he wouldn't have been given the job. Lachlan's been running the companies de facto for some years now. I think Rupert Murdoch remains kingmaker in many ways. I think Lachlan remains the executioner of the policy in all ways, and I think it is a fool that dismisses Rupert Murdoch now just because he says, I mean, look, even the phrase chairman emeritus. Chairman emeritus always leaves room for people like me to say, are you a backseat driver? You either go or you stay. Well, in this case, he's sort of having his cake and eating it, which, as I said at the beginning, is classic Rupert Murdoch.
And it was interesting, Richard, a short time ago when I was speaking to Anna Stewart, she was alluding to the drama that plays out on the show Succession as to which child would take the reins in these sort of dynasties. And in terms of Lachlan Murdoch, why was he the standout?
Well, I think he stands out because he's had the most experience and he is walking in lockstep with his father. If you look at the other two candidates, primary candidates, you're talking about James Murdoch and Elizabeth Murdoch. Well, Elizabeth has basically run various production companies, some successfully, others not so. But she's now in her 60s and she has basically said, I'm not interested. I don't want it. I've got my production company, Los Angeles, London, fine. James Murdoch, on the other hand, has now given up all of his major roles within the company and has made it quite clear he is not in agreement with the way that his father and his brother have been in relation to Trump, democracy. He has been highly critical of that. So it is unthinkable that James Murdoch would be the heir. And it has been that way for some years, by the way, ever since he gave up his roles in BSKB and a whole load of other things. The reality of Rupert Murdoch is that the genius has always had some form of scandal surrounding him, regardless. Phone hacking, Donald Trump, issues of the company and the company's ownership, the oversized weight and the company, the family shareholding has, his various marriages over many years. And therefore, it is a most certainly important day to mark that he steps back. But don't be fooled. Lachlan's been running the company. Lachlan is the man.
And of course, during the COVID pandemic, Lachlan moved his entire family back to Australia. It wasn't that long ago that he kind of started spending more time here in the United States. I suspect he'll have to make more of a permanent move here if he's going to run these major corporations.
Oh, look, this family has played ducks and drakes with nationalities and movings their entire life. Let's remember, Rupert Murdoch himself changed nationality, took U.S. citizenship so he could buy local television stations because non-U.S. citizens were not permitted to buy them. So there's the idea that Lachlan will shift here or shift there, spend more time in the U.S. or so. These are people with fleets of planes at their disposal, multiple homes where they can live. Where their bum happens to be at night seems to be pretty irrelevant.
I'm just looking at these pictures of Lachlan Murdoch and his wife, Sarah. I worked with Sarah back in Australia many years ago at Channel 9 Australia. She is a wonderful woman. We're waiting to see what this means for the company going forward. Rupert Murdoch stepping down as chairman of Fox News and News Corp. We will see how things progress. But Richard Quest, good to get your perspective on that breaking news. Stay with CNN. We will be right back.